From Adam and Eve to Abraham to Moses to Christ to modern times, we've always had interruption. We've always had apostasy. But the story of the church, the story of the gospel down through those ages were, here's a period of faithfulness and then apostasy, then faithfulness and apostasy. And we never succeeded for very long. Sometimes a little longer than others, but never for very long. Until now.
Hasta ahora.
And it is never, ever going to fail again. Individual people will. We have to guard against that. You have to help me and I want to help you. Individual people can fall, but collectively,
pero colectivamente,
institutionally, as a church, as a dispensation, it will never fail again.
If there are any among this people who should ever apostatize, prepare your backs for a good whipping.
And young women, please understand that if you dress immodestly, you are magnifying this problem by becoming pornography.
We believe that we are gods in embryo. We teach that. We believe that because it's in the scriptures.
Jehovah, we promised Adam and Eve that we would visit them and give them further instructions. Come, let us go down. We will go down, Elohim.
I hear their voices. They are coming. See, you are naked. Take some fig leaves and make you aprons. Father will see your nakedness. Quick, hide. Come, let us hide.
The brethren and sisters, put on your aprons.
We are instructed to give unto you the law of chastity, which is that the women of God's kingdom and the men of God's kingdom shall have no sexual relations except with those to whom they are legally and lawfully wedded according to his law. Each of you bring your right arm to the square. You and each of you individually covenant and promise before God, angels, and these witnesses that you will observe and keep the law of chastity as it has been explained to you. Each of you bow your head and say yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
That usually leads to not like the women at the office understand me. And pretty soon the women at the office start looking better and better, and your family looks worse and worse, and before you know it, boom, you've lost everything.
What my psychiatrist recommended is you can take medication.
Travis Wingoodsell. By doing this video, I'm hoping that I will finish in 30 minutes to go running. I don't do videos that quickly. Peggy Fletcher Stack of the Salt Lake Tribune did an article that I saw yesterday about the challenges of being LDS and single at Christmas time. And it starts off with, it's faith It's a faith that values marriage, a covenant that reaches into the eternities, yet half the adult members in the church are single. That is wow. The whole push of the church is for Mormons to get married. And half of the adult members, Peggy is saying she's got the stats for, are single. That blows my mind. It blew my mind going to the older singles ward way back in the 2000s at the ward behind the fire station on Fort Union Boulevard. That was the biggest sacrament meeting. And we ended up having two elders quorums with the two relief societies. And even then, there were still many who just weren't going to church. Apparently, it was mostly men. But knowing the exact stats is difficult when the church won't release them. So, she and Dylan Eubank talked with 3 Mormons and asked them questions, interrogated them as to why they're single, why they're wicked, evil apostates. Miguel Cano is a 3rd generation Mormon, baptized in Spain, and went to BYU. And apparently he's in Madrid. So Peggy, take this as an opportunity to go on a vacation to Madrid, Spain. I gotta do it, it's for my job, boss. Is it difficult to be single in the church? Miguel says, it's difficult to be single regardless. We're not meant to be alone. That's the title. Even though it comes from the Book of Mormon and Genesis. It is not good for man to be alone. Women can be alone. They don't need men. As a species, we function in communities. And obviously the foundation of any community is family. Oh my God. Who taught you that, BYU? There's a hierarchy of needs. Family is not one of them, but sex is. Sex is or family is a consequence of sex. And is a byproduct of the hierarchy. Really should not learn from BYU. They do not know their subject matter, especially in sociology. Right, Todd, who's one of the singles. I'm technically single too, but of a different kind. The kind who's failed, been betrayed. There's this whole spiritual and eternal aspect that gives more weight to it. The bullying of the extended myth of a menace to society at age 26, when it was actually 21, and it was something worse than menace. It was more like, you're good for nothing and you might as well be shot dead where you stand. We understand that things can be resolved after this life. Oh, if you'd only read your Book of Mormon and trusted it. I think that hit the spot, especially for women. Because in the church, women are told to sit on the couch and wait for a man to call them for a proposal of marriage. And so Benson comes out and says no blessings will be withheld from a faithful woman. Hinckley repeats it, and I believe Monson may have even said it too, as he also told women they're ugly and they need to cover up their face with makeup. But to think that we can eat, drink, and be merry for tomorrow we die, and then we can have everything given to us on a silver platter, is what he's trying to claim here. Is that he's tried, he's failed, it doesn't matter, because in the afterlife he'll be given the perfect woman for a celestial marriage. Well, if it's this church, you're supposed to get multiple women. You're supposed to be child brides, and then only a limit of 10. Leaders are the exception to that. God. So yeah, I want to experience this now. Yeah, he's horny for sex. That's guy code for all you women out there. You want sex, the hierarchy of need. Women don't need it. That's not a hierarchy for women. They do just fine without a man. So yeah, this is where the sex abuse of the church kicks in, where men are told to shut off their hierarchy of needs, to shut down the little factory. That's why Nelson had it pulled and banned. Packers' little factory talk. The church does not want you to trust science. Medical science about our human biological, sexual, reproductive processes. And as a result, you get the two extremist camps that the church presents. Celibacy until marriage, and then only for children, or you're a depraved sex fiend of extremities. All along, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is projecting with their beam and modes, because the church is involved in sexual abuse of its members by denying science, by forcing the payment of money to be celibate until you get married, Now you've prostituted your spouse, whether both or one, and they physically punish you if you violate celibacy. That is not healthy. And so this causes problems in Mormons who trust the leaders of the church, that they have to deny their hierarchy of needs, and they can't, thus they always fail. And so then they don't feel worthy, and you get Mormons who will go to their bishop and confess and get punished and sexually abused, or you'll get Mormons who are physically punished with sex abuse and then get blamed. And then you get other Mormons who just go into silence and fall into despair, thinking that they are unworthy and they'll never make it to the celestial kingdom, and thus perpetuating singlehood, because you don't want to face your bishop, and that's what's required to get married. So before Nelson allowed sex among engaged couples, are you guys doing that? Are you taking that advice? Or are you backing off on that? Apparently they're backing off on that. They didn't listen. They weren't listening to me when I covered it, when Nelson made the change. See, back in my day, if a couple couldn't wait to be married first, you had to get married civilly if you wanted to avoid the other punishments, and then wait a year at least until you got sealed in the temple. Nelson came out and said, no, you're engaged, you're in the process. So that was a big change, and I don't think Mormons caught on. There are many changes that Nelson made that Mormons are not obeying, and still to this day. You're not listening to the living prophet of Jesus, Mormons. You're supposed to be practicing polygamy. That was the change of the law of chastity. You're not obeying. You're not obeying. You're wicked. So yeah, you've got these Mormons who cave and give in to their sexual deviant appetites. And then, oh no, what do? Now there are those that say, oh, I've got to have sex with somebody to trap them to marry me. It's also part of the consequences of an abusive leadership, is that you get the members abusing each other. The starting star quarterback of BYU last year, seems like it should have been this year. Is time really going by that fast? Woman accused him of sex and destroyed his career, destroyed his life. He was forced to flee the state of Utah when she confessed that she had been deceptive in the courts. She was forced to pull her case, confessing that she was in the wrong. And it didn't matter. the damage she caused with the accusation alone ruined that future apostle of the church's life. He was hoping to be the next Steve Young, and she destroyed him. She still lives in Utah. He had to move. And his whole family with him. That is the damage of the leaders of the church upon Mormons with the sex abuse. Do you still want to marry? You couldn't catch that from the first question. It's probably the Dylan guy. Who's asking this question? Very much. I've always been focused on dating. But as a Mormon, we aren't taught how to date. We aren't taught how to have interactions with women. We aren't taught how to be a husband and a father. I don't know if it's the same for women. Again, they don't need a man. I've been told that many a time. We don't need men. But that's why we have sex drives. Is because if we didn't have sex drives, then yeah, celibacy would be a big part of our life. I wish I could do it without sleep, eating, a lot of other basic necessities, because there are things I need to get done. Nonetheless, see, I just woke up, if you couldn't tell. And I was up late because I, again, was doing some research. We'll see if I can get the video done or if I end up passing out for the rest of the day. But yeah, I am designed to always be busy and do things. And yet, if it wasn't for my sex drive, plus my desire to be with women rather than men, I would never have an interest in pursuing a relationship. Of course, the church has utterly destroyed me, so that's not even an option anymore, but still. I'm unique, I think. So next, have you dated outside the church? And he says, yes. I've seen that here in Utah. Women can't wait around for a man to ask them out. And then a guy outside of the church has an interest and loves them, so they marry them. They choose what is available, what comes around for them, rather than being a Sherry Dew to her dying day. For many, that is just not an option. And so when an opportunity of any level comes, they take it. And that's also where the church abuses Mormons. It's because they say, no, only a Mormon is what you're supposed to be dating and thus marrying. But the church is not providing the adequate resources. And I say that in the context of how resources is interpreted for the homeless, for example. There are no resources for the homeless. It's a big lie when anybody comes out and says there are resources for the homeless. There are none. They lie. There are corporations that want you to give them money, but they don't give anything to the homeless. They don't pull the homeless out of poverty so that the homeless can become independent. You cannot become independent when you've got nothing in your life. The rich never understand that, and this church refuses to do anything to help Mormons with that. They hoard money and expect Mormons to be rich to pay the church to continue to hoard money. And this also causes a problem when women want to get married and a guy isn't rich enough to support a lifestyle. Women don't want to be the ones to be the providers. The family proclamation says it's the man's responsibility. And many of the women in the singles wards wanted to give up their job to be a trad wife. They wanted that lifestyle, and the church just denied it. And men are unfaithful to the family proclamation. And so they have to have a hope that when they're dead, they'll get the perfect marriage. It's all false hope. If the church is sexually abusing you, then the church is not true. And if the church is not true, that means their claim of an afterlife salvation is a big fraud. Nobody's making these connections, Peggy. And then is Christmas a family-centered celebration, a sensitive snowflake issue for you? He says, my parents are divorced. So I'm used to it. That is the tragic case of why there's half that are single. What do you think of single wards? People sometimes like to bash on singles wards. It's the meat market. Where there are ever growing numbers of singles, but never getting to the altar of the temples. Women are just too high of a priced prostitute for men. If you don't know what prostitution is, and that if you have to pay tithing to get married and be celibate, it's on you for not understanding English and what a crime is. So, if I were still in Utah, it would be really difficult to be in a family ward. Well, not really. The stake president will come to you and kick you out. Then you'll get a Nazi bishop in the singles ward who's never even read his Book of Mormon and demands that the bread be white. Well, pull your temple recommend if you aren't 100% active in church attendance. Because you left to go back to the family ward. What an ass. Seriously. Dear God. A singles award allows you to connect with other people who are in a similar place and helps create that community. Oh, if you only knew. So easy to say when you're not here living it yourself. I was among the highest amount of available women, and none of them wanted me. That is beyond crushing. That is beyond emasculating and demoralizing, because women have rejected you of being unworthy for them. And that is just crushing for a Mormon guy. And so I never felt abandoned by God, because that's the next question, the final question for him before we get to the woman with 5 minutes left. Does being single make you feel abandoned by God? No. Being single makes me feel abandoned by women. But I don't blame women, I blame the church. I only blame women as far as they believe the church, and didn't run the test from the Bible and the Book of Mormon to find out if the church was true. And because they didn't, even those who leave still didn't. And so I can't get in favor with a Mormon girl, let alone an Expo girl. Don't even get me started on the Nevermo girls. The church sabotages us. What was intended to raise up an army to overthrow America is going to cause the fall of the church. So we're going to give you the test. See how well you guys do. See how well you do. It'll all be in vain. Everybody's out returning all the gifts that everybody gave them that they don't like, so that they can get money for it and get what they really want. Grandma got run over by a reindeer. So, should I stop the video, go for a run, and then come back and talk about Amara Segrist? Are you even legal? Oh, I guess so. She's 25, apparently. Not from your picture. She lives here in Salt Lake City, so they're pimping her out. Apparently, she's too young for me, according to community guidelines of the nation. Because from what I've heard from pop culture table talk, is that as a guy, for culturally approved age range, I have to divide my age in half and then add 6 years to that. And that is the lowest I can go for a female. Amara is out. So, again, never going to happen anyway because of the church's abuse. So, let's stop. Let me go trip over the homeless, and I'll be back. Alright. Yeah. The low morale has escalated again. And this is because of the corruption of the leadership. Not just Chief Red, but Sister Homewrecker Mendenhall and those above them has circulation is getting cut off by the hole in the toe. Oh, much better. My socks are holy. And this is the same problem in the church regarding why singles are escalated and thus the low morality of members. It's because of the abuse at the top. They don't have the right keys to lead, and therefore they are not leading by the Spirit. Seer, prophet, revelator, translator, Spirit. They deny them. That is their official church policy. And thus, the problems that are in the church right now with half their God. So, back to Amara. 25-year-old, out of culturally approved range for me. But just 10 years. She's a returned missionary. Well, there was your first problem. You passed up the billion opportunities for marriage to go on a mission for 1.5 years. And as a result, you're old and busted. You're past your prime. What does that say about me if she's 10 years too young? I'm sure only women remember that scandal of the guy who then lost his job for saying that. But nonetheless, yeah, she therefore had plenty of time to graduate from BYU. Went on a mission, graduated from BYU, and she's from a faithful family, so she's the black sheep. Bah. We have so much in common, Amara. She often visits different members during the holiday season. Oh. Ouch. And so, yeah, this is women's guilt that I see creeping in here. To project what she wishes could be done. Oh. And so, yeah, she doesn't feel like she belongs. Because, I mean, seriously, guys, oh my God, how could you let her go? In the years following your mission, what was your dating experience like? In college, you mean BYU? I was in the mindset of going on as many dates as I could, test drive as many cars, ride as many men, See, the sexual innuendos just fly off the roof in the older singles ward. The younger singles ward, they're still bottled up. They have yet to understand how desperately they want their hierarchy of needs. I mean, only men do. Women don't need men. Yeah. I mean, I was thinking like that as well when I first went to Rick's. It was before my mission, but I never had the opportunity to set it up because I was always asked for every single dance and event before my mission. Once I got back from my mission, I was the plague itself. And all women feared and trembled and ran away. And I had no intention to pursue a rushed marriage. Even the guys at the dorm and Ensign had put out the warning that no returned missionary has honor and respect if he can't last at least a year. Because too many fell within 2 weeks. Divorced in 3 years. But I was planner oriented. I had to create my own planners because Stephen R. Covey's Franklin planners were insufficient for my needs, and so I had to redesign them for my own taste, like I have to do for the Sports Illustrated calendar. I've got to do it myself if I want it done right. Nonetheless, it's not you, Olivia, it's the photographer. I don't blame you. And using the investigator records that I created on my mission, I intended on having a dating record so that I would have dates all day, 24/7, all scheduled, planned out. I was all set, ready to go, and immediate failure, crash and burn, up in flames. Frapped in a blender on high. So despite my intention of getting to know women and building relationships of trust, building on common beliefs, resolving concerns, failure. So yes, people used to tell me growing up that it's 99% mentality, 1% physical action. That's BS. But that's what she's talking about, is that she had a 99% positive mentality going in. She had her plans on how it was going to be, and then after graduating and moving up to Salt Lake, I definitely have become more picky. Ooh, yeah, she's still in the young age. Still in the young age. And what do you mean become more picky? Increased in pickiness, you mean. But once you hit the older singles ward, which there's where the church is now pulling the psychological manipulation on women by lowering the age of the older singles ward, or raising the age of the older singles ward to 35 instead of 30, so that the 30 to 35s now get bumped down into the younger singles ward. And that gets creepy to the brand new 18-year-olds or fresh off the mission folk. They really aren't into cougars yet. They're not that desperate for cougars. And so my brother failed again to help the church leadership. Oh, Todd, you are such a failure as a PhD because of BYU. How far you have strayed. He was on the right track. He couldn't cross over into learn how to learn his memorization. That's why he went into sociology, is because he sucks at sociology and practice. That's what people tend to go into, as the field where they lack. And so for me, I went in as a firefighter, postman, anthropologist of the ancient Middle East, deciphering Paleo-Hebrew, Egyptian, all ancient languages, correcting all the dumbasses who were in the field. Yeah, I got to pursue what I wanted. And yeah, it was because of the lack of the church refusing to give us answers. My specific interest was translation. Why is Joseph Smith the only president of the church who was a translator? Why is nobody else translating? What's going on? I have questions that I need answered. And so I went into that field. So yes, the majority of women here in Utah go into psychology because they're psychologically abused by the church. Duh. Then they go around psychologically abusing others and going to prison for it. Getting their treatment centers shut down. Only to be replaced with another batch of 100 for the one who goes to prison, and 36 treatment centers for the one that gets shut down. I'm slightly exaggerating. Slightly. God. They're all from Nazi Germany, guys. It all has to go. And so, yes, when leaders abuse their authority, it does cause psychological abuse as well. It's far more than just physical abuse. So, she didn't talk about the years following her mission. She goes immediately after college instead. That's also an interesting diversion, because in that she's saying that when she came home from her mission, she still wasn't ready to settle down, that she let college mindset but she claims she had a mindset, but then graduated. So she's not making sense. She's not telling the truth. I wanted to get married, but it never happened, and so I just kept going, went on a mission, went to college, graduated, went to Salt Lake to work. Somewhere out there beneath the windy skies. Yeah, the California storms are blowing in. And so, yeah, she's an interesting case example that my brother would never be able to handle. I could. I know how to write and ask the right questions, Peggy. But, yeah, she's claiming that she wasn't as picky, and yet she had the mindset of going on a mission and then going to college. But she claimed that college was just going to be for dating, not seeing if a relationship could happen. She doesn't know how to build a relationship, even after her mission. They don't teach that anymore, I guess. And I think the new missionary guide may have taken that out. The whole building relationships of trust, building on common beliefs, resolving concerns, closing the deal, walking away and abandoning them, leaving the responsibility to others that you then blame for not retaining them. And so, yes, I see the errors of the church that are in her mindset. And that's sad because there's no physical appearance reason why she shouldn't have a whole bunch of guys pursuing her. And so, what does she mean by picky? Now, I've heard that guys tend to over-exaggerate by a factor of 10. Whereas women under-exaggerate by a factor of 3. If that were to be true, dear God, she is picky. What is it you're looking for in your checklist, dear? It's like, was it D. Todd? I think it was D. Todd Christofferson who did the young adult devotional after conference, talking to singles who were paired up for his question and answer period, but the answers were scripted. And the one female, when asked by him, what are you looking for in a guy, in a husband? And so she gave the generic answer after a pause. Keeps his covenant path. I have heard that so many times, and yet I was. Why did you reject me? I'm right here. That's an oldie joke that all my age women get from the pop culture reference. No time for love, Dr. Jones. So, yeah. And that's where the church fails. Because I've heard from the women in the church that they are given a checklist of who to marry. He has to be worthy, paid his tithing, worthy priesthood holder, does his home teaching, loves his mommy, and whatever else. Loves Jesus. Will betray you for Jesus. And that ruins relationships. You can't have a checklist. You need to be able to communicate. If you can't communicate with your spouse, it's over. You need to learn how to communicate with each other. You need to be open and honest. And the church, covering up and hiding everything and telling you to cover up and hide things, to shut things off, to deny that they're real. That carries over into the relationship, and that destroys the relationships, just like it destroys religious relationships, as 15 million Mormons left. That's why I also wonder about Peggy's stats of half the adults. Are you sure they're active? Peggy? And so this pickiness is a different pickiness than the natural man as a little boy. As my born-again Christian peers gave me a checklist as to how to select a girl. But it typically wasn't for marriage relationships. It was for notches on the bedpost. Whose bed have your boots been under? And whose heart have you, I wonder? You make me feel like thunder, baby. Whose bed have your boots been under? I never knew I liked country until somebody pointed it out to me. The radio didn't distinguish. You had many country singers on the popular stations. So I never knew. They tricked me. And so as she gets older, she's going dating a lot less. And so yes, do the factor of 3. But yeah, it's most likely because her job is being the primary focus in her life, not giving her time for social activities, even though she's going to young single adult ward. Interesting. She says the young single adult ward makes it harder to meet people. Oh, organically. Oh my God, you're one of them. There's another problem, because we had Sister Richter in our mission. 10 on the Richter scale, but oh my God! Vegan? Oh, she was a pill to anybody inviting her over for a member meal. Because she always had a whole long list of what she couldn't have. And yeah, picky. But because she was a 10 on the Richter scale, she got the assistant to the president to marry her. Good luck with that. Good luck. Hope you're happy. So yes, that brings back Connecticut memories. She wasn't in Connecticut, by the way. My companion did a double date with her companion. I found out while we were he didn't want to tell me. I still would have gone. But nonetheless, I saw what was going on. Oh, Lee. Good times. Yeah, we did the ferry that you see the Statue of Liberty with. That was our date. assuming I got the name of the companion correct. But it's been so long ago. Yeah. It's one thing for a woman to be pretty and not know she's beautiful. It's another thing for a woman to know she's beautiful. There's a difference in the woman's personality. I saw that at Rick's too. Yeah, this was before my mission. All the guys were all around her, trying to impress her. And she just ate it up and had no interest in any of them. And so, being a stupid, young and dumb and full of... I asked her to go to the movies with me. And it was the Ferris Bueller guy in Lady Hawk, Matthew Broderick. That was an awesome movie, even though they butchered it. It was not rated R, guys. Back off. It has to be purged and purified and cleansed from all sin. Oh my God, stop it. But afterwards, she just complained and complained and complained. And so those kinds of things I knew back then were a great test for the soul of a woman. You don't just marry the outward appearance. She's got to have a good heart. And that woman ain't got it. And so, yeah, the sad reality is that she won't make a mistake in marriage if she gets married. And either way, she will be humbled. And then it will be too late for her. That's the sad reality. Communication. Not judging. Being nice. Realizing that they too are a Mormon. They're going to church. You know they're going to the temple. You know you're going to be prostituted. What else do you want? Do you love me? What do you mean? I'm your wife. I saw that on Broadway. Or off Broadway, I don't care. I saw it there. It was awesome. And I think that was the one I saw twice. Yeah, I saw Fiddler twice, or Phantom twice. It was Phantom twice, Fiddler once. None of my companions wanted to see Les Miserables, so I missed out on that one. But, you know, it was up to the companions who wanted to go see them, that I went with them. So I never took the initiative to say, I want to go see Les Miserables. Well, you want to come with me? Okay. I wasn't that kind of missionary. But anyway. So, do you ever feel pressure from other members to marry? Yes. I noticed that pressure a lot more when I was at school and when I was at BYU. It's because you're getting shunned in the family wards, dear. And what she means by pressure is all the guys wanting to date her. And she's rejecting them because she's picky. And I've had people occasionally in recent years, like ward members, make jokes about it. Yeah, because they're mean girls. and talk about dating. They're picking on you for not being pregnant, like they are, for the 5th time. But I don't take it personally. Apparently you do. Don't lie to me. Communicate. Tell the truth. And if you can't tell the truth with the other person, they're not for you. In case you hadn't caught on. If you can't talk about sexuality in the dating relationship, they're not going to be available to talk about it in the marriage relationship. As uncomfortable of a subject it is, it has to be talked about. You cannot go in assuming other things about your partner, even in the dating relationship, because that causes destruction. And so yes, it's not just about what they're interested in, what their favorite color is, what their favorite food is. You need to get right down and dirty. When somebody tells you you're a Mormon, how do you respond? When the guy you're dating deciphered Paleo-Hebrew, how do you respond? The real hard-hitting questions that determine whether a relationship will stand the test of time and win a date with Tad. I don't know if there's many people who know that one. Maybe. See, guys may not know that one, but if I talk about Transformers and the military officer, oh yeah, I know that dude. Yeah, he's Tad. And that dude from that 70s show, I think. Yeah. The main character's son, who has the crush on the hot blonde, redhead. Oh my God. Well, she is a blonde. She can be a blonde. She has been a blonde. She's a redhead in the show, that 70s show. Not that other girl. Where is she now? I saw that on the news. The tabloid AI-created news. Where is she now? Why is she gone from Hollywood? She's married to Ashton Kutcher? Doing commercials about, I didn't do it. Nonetheless, have you found the holidays burdensome in any way? I'm used to being alone. That's why Christmas was spent with this. You know, I had my little things that I did. I had wheat thins, cheddar cheese, sausage with mustard, and then 100% cran raspberry juice. I'd prefer drinking that. It's just too expensive to maintain. So I do Mountain Dew, which, yeah, I gotta do the do. But nonetheless, I would prefer if I had a diet of cran raspberry juice. But no, there's, the church and the family proclamation destroyed all my relationships. Not to mention the Strengthening Church Members Committee. Hi, we need to activate Travis and destroy his life. Are you dead yet, Holland? Just appointing people to the Epstein Special Church Service Mission. Bastard. You will not die quick enough for me. Women are porn, and porn is like COVID. It kills. Bleep you all at the top. Leave women alone. Is there anything you would change about dating culture? Oh, Peggy. Peggy. No. Rookie mistake, Peggy. Let's go back to journalism 101. How, who, what, where, when, to what extent. Never why. What you are doing here is trying to get her to turn on the church. And this is how all Mormons who do YouTube channels and then get interviewed by John Dehlin get excommunicated. Thinking you can change the church because your idea is far better than the leadership. They'll listen to you, or maybe you can get a gang of people to follow you and put pressure on the church to change. That ought to go over well, right, Kate Kelly? Yeah, Peggy knows better. I know your family. She still asks the two questions. And so, no, the church caused this. The church needs to fix it, and they won't. They'll never apologize. They'll never admit they did anything wrong. They will never confess. They will never change. They will just escalate the problem. Right, Chief Red? Until it blows up, and then some dumbass from the legislature will say, I was inspired by Jesus as how to fix it. It'll be perfect. Let's lock them all up. Remove them from the shelter and put them all in jail. Brilliant! Operation Rio Grande a success. Mission accomplished. They had no intention of rebuilding other shelters. Everybody knows that's how you do things. You don't just quit your job without another job to back it up. You don't just abandon the marriage without other guys to pursue. If you're going in a marriage with that mentality, it's over. Tell your husband you're out. Do not string them along. Just a little personal beef. But, yeah, okay. So, oops. Here's more damage caused to her brain by the church. I feel like, so no. No. You never use your feelings to justify your beliefs. We experience things with our bodies. And then, now that we're grown up, we interpret what we experience. How we interpret what we experience is based upon our beliefs. If we've run the test properly from both the Bible and the Book of Mormon, we'll be A-OK. When you read, ponder, pray to get the right feeling, you're going to sabotage yourself. And you see the read, ponder, pray, and get the right feeling here. She has no clue how to live her life. and thus the sabotaging failure that the church has caused. See, a date needs to have the same test run to find out whether the church prophets are true. And because Mormons don't run that test, they don't run the test in a dating relationship. And everything fails as a result. It's amazing how the Book of Mormon is so true. 3 Nephi chapter 14. Not just Matthew chapter 7. Because Alma chapter 32 also fixes Hebrews 11:1 with that botched translation to conform and comply to Matthew chapter 7 verse 15 plus, which is directly plagiarized in 3 Nephi 14. How to judge. And so yes, she's doing the feeling thing instead. She's living her life by feelings, and she's crashing and burning, and she's only 25. Well below her prime, to at least a factor of 10 to 20, or maybe even 30. Every woman is different. But she wants to see young adults being more open to exploring and dating. What do you mean? There's just a lot of immaturity in it. Are you talking sex? What the hell, Amara? Are you some kind of a freak? She's a super freak, she's super freaky, yow. One of these songs might end up being the theme song in the description below. Like and subscribe. But notice how she's not blaming the church here. This is dating culture in the church. Peggy knows damn well that leaders are responsible. And yet, the little girl exposes her gospel training from her mission. And yeah, she even brings up missions in here. See? Feelings, missions. You can see what's going on in the bigger picture when you ask the right questions. That can also be a reason why women run away. He might get to know me and then like me, and then we'll live happily ever after. I can't have that. I feel too guilty. I doubt that's the reason. That was my reason for Leanne bailing on her. My one and only regret. Especially when I look back at all the 21-year-olds. Oh, that was so long ago, wasn't it, dear? Bleep you! They're just fresh off their missions. That's the same amount of time. Sort of. Factor of 3. Ta-da! There's this mindset of, I have to find someone and I have to get married because I can't be lonely. she's not thinking duty here. That's interesting. My mom was duty, but she's thinking of selfishness, to not have that stigma. She is going after Isaiah 4. But everybody screws up and assumes that it must be for polygamy. Not quite, dear. Yep. In that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name, to take away our reproach. When you go back to the daughters of Zion are haughty and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and looking so cute and adorable, making tinkling with their feet. Isaiah is talking about a future prophecy. And you just caught Amara doing this. Back off, Microsoft. She is falling into this trap of fulfilling prophecy and not realizing it. But it's going to crush me to no end if Zion becomes like the Bronx Branch. And I'm afraid that that's what it's going to be. I'm going to break down and cry. Because I will be at a loss. What the church has done to damage Mormons is just unforgivable. But no, you don't get into a marriage so that you're not lonely. You don't get into a marriage as a duty. You get into a relationship because you're able to communicate with them. You're able to work together. You're in harmony. And even though in the beginning you don't know it yet, if you run those tests, then you can be confident that it will turn out good, that the fruit will show up. Even get me started. Test runs? Trump is failing? What the hell? 200 years and you're failing? I stepped in the final hour and I did everything. You guys had 200 years and you failed. I'm 5 years older than I should be. If we were in Zion. Bastards. Test runs. What the hell? I just wish people were more comfortable exploring. Not being immature. We're more comfortable being alone and more comfortable getting to know themselves. You were supposed to do that growing up, dear. If you're an adult and you don't know yourself, oh dear God, what have you been doing? Because I'm a blonde. Yeah. Magnum, Doc. Best line. I did it for Johnny. Johnny? Well, who's Johnny? Yeah, If you don't know who you are by the time you're an adult, you've failed your childhood. And it's obviously your parents' fault. You blame them. And blame the church. You can be together forever someday. Pretty soon the women at the office start looking better and better, and your family starts looking worse, and before you know it, boom, you've had orgy sex with all the women in the office. Now you're working with an all-male firm for architectural design. When I got my cassette tape from Miyazaki after sending him home, I listened to that finally over and over again, and then one time it clicked. I went, the church doing those little commercials and offering the free cassette tape to meet with the missionaries and pay tithing to the church. It was an investment. Oh yeah, I had orgy sex once. So I can become a member now? I'm a full-grown adult with a high-powered career, and I don't know who I am. I am not happy with life. All my wealth, I am not happy. And this is from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, who's hoarding trillions. Ask them if they're happy. Oh, dear God. Are you really that freaky? It's always the unsuspecting, innocent faces that are the freakiest. Oh my God. I'm scared. See, there's no S&M for me. If you want to be beaten, I'm not the guy for you. Go find some other guy who will beat you. Dear God. And swinging, don't even get me started on soft swinging. What the hell? It's adultery, dumbasses. It means you're not faithful in the marriage. And any spouse knows that the marriage is over if you're being lured into the world of swingers. The marriage is over. It is no longer a marriage. It is adultery. And there are consequences. Just saying, it may be all fun and games if both of you think that you're agreeing, consenting with the others that are agreeing and consenting. But when it comes to sexual behavior, there are consequences always. Even if those consequences end up being STDs. Nonetheless, you're free to choose. Church is always true. Go ahead. Find out the hard way. It's a false dichotomy. No other options. Before tying someone else into it. Okay. Yeah. I heard that a lot in the Younger Singles Ward. As an excuse. Until they found the right guy. And then all those excuses went out the window and they're ready. It's just a way to be picky. It's not the end of the world if you don't force a relationship and force a marriage. You do know that's Lucifer's plan of happiness, to take away agency, right? It's exclusive Mormon doctrine. And you're feeling that it's not the end of the world if you don't do what other Mormons do and force a relationship and force a marriage? I am never going to be happy ever again. It's over. My life is over. I am so doomed. And then Adam, favoring men rather than women. He's a 31-year-old from Bluffdale. He's a producer for Motab. I don't know why you can't just say Mormon Tabernacle Choir, because Nelson comes out and says Jesus is offended. Did you run the test? No, you didn't. You felt he's true, and so I'm the enemy. God. He is close with his family. You mean mommy. He works for Motab. That says it all. So I see Peggy did the 2 from Salt Lake, or from Utah, and then the Spain was the Dillon guy. Sorry, Peggy, I guess you didn't get to go on vacation. That sucks. What was it like when you left BYU and started to become a trans furry Antifa terrorist commie Venezuelan drug pusher? Who was fortunate enough to not be locked up instead for assassinating Charlie Kirk? The AI projected Tyler rather than you. Young single adult wards outside of school had a very different culture and energy there. So, typing error, Peggy. Oh no. Who's your editor? I attended young single adult ward for about 2 or 3 years before I actually left the ward and started attending my family ward. Yeah, he didn't last long. Rejection. The young single adult ward had more of a focus on marriage, and that was just not happening for me because the women didn't like you. They were too picky. 31. Oh, you're still too young to crash and burn. So yeah, that means the women in this valley are very picky. Oh, I know how you feel. You often tell friends and family that you feel fulfilled in your life as a single Latter-day Saint. How do they respond to that statement? The thing to keep in mind is that people don't believe me. You gotta show the appendage at your waist in public. Otherwise, they'll never listen. Were there expectations in your family of when you should have been married? My mom was in her mid-30s, so sometimes I tease her that she shouldn't be expecting me to get married because I'm younger. Back off, Mom! You were in your mid-30s, old and busted. I'm only 31. Ouch. Oh, there's also a Sarah. Okay, they did 2 and 2. I'm apologizing to Peggy. She's also from Salt Lake. You got to do 3, and the other guy only did the 1. Huh? Why did you do a collaboration then? Why did you even bother? Has getting married always been a goal for you? Is that something you've wanted to do? Yes, definitely. I love my family. I want to marry my mom. I remember being told that in Aaronic priesthood, is that I should look for a woman who was like my mom. And I thought that was creepy. I don't want to marry somebody like my mom. I don't like my mom. She's mean and abusive. I do not want to carry that over into a marriage. Okay, anyway, Sarah to finish us off. She's 30. She works in healthcare. Which healthcare, dear? Medical or psycho? I'm willing to bet psycho. She's from Layton, graduated with a bachelor's in communication. For healthcare? So you failed to find a job in communications, so you settled for healthcare, huh? Or do you do the website? She is also a returned missionary who served Independence, Missouri. Yeah, she's boasting about that. Trying to beef up her resume. But yeah, that was the pressure as a teenager before going on a mission. Being told that we're a loser if we go stateside. I went stateside, but whew, that was a close call. New York, New York. The exception to the rule. So close. Not like Oklahoma, 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 Oklahoma. Those dirty, rotten scoundrels. Do you feel like the holidays have become burdensome in any way due to awkward conversations about your marital status? No, we talk about Trump. How he's making America great again. How it's so awesome to pay $12 for a pint of orange juice. God, it's $7 a gallon. And they screw you over if you think you're going to go to the condensed orange juice. Oh, no, no, no. Bastards. I remember when it was $2. God. See, Trump was paying attention to me when I posted that on my website way back in the day. And then Trump went and said the oranges of the investigation. It never went down since. Oh, God. I feel like, oops. See, I don't recall the guys using I feel like. He uses I love my family and I love kids. Stay away from kids, please. Here in Utah, you need to stay away from kids. Just saying. Stay away from kids. And the girls both said I feel. See the pattern? Of course, Peggy asked the question, do you feel like the holidays? Whenever anybody asks me, do I feel a certain way, it always pisses me off. That's how I feel. Got your feelings right here. Feelings are a result of that little chain I gave you. You experience things, and yeah, you physically feel. Not as freaky as Amara. And you're not married? There are plenty of guys. Oh, God. Oh, my God. But yeah, after you run the test and you produce the results, yeah, feelings. Nothing more than feelings. Did you not read your Book of Mormon about the tree of life? You hold to the word of God until you get to the fruit. And then you taste the fruit, and then you feel. You don't stand at the beginning of the word of God and go, I think I need to pray about whether this feels good or not. What the hell made you believe that you can feel the truth? It is not scriptural. It's not the interpretation of Moroni chapter 10. What the bleeping hell, Mormons? God, you had the Book of Mormon, and you're just wasting your life. And the church caused it, and you're not blaming them. Is there a different expectation for you as a woman when it comes to marriage? 100%. Yeah. Women, if you're not past your prime, I'll let you decide when that is. You are an independent agent, not to be compelled, not to be acted upon. The church makes you be acted upon, that you have to be submissive in the relationship. No! Stop it! You have desires and wants, even sexually. I think. Maybe. Probably not. You don't need a man. So, there are certain guys that you want. Especially when you're at a high population of available guys. You had the Book of Mormon. Don't let anybody, even this church, tell you you have to sit down and shut up. Let the guy know who you are. You don't have to jump his bones and get freaky like Amara wants to. Save it for the marriage. But communicate about it first before you get married, so that you get the right guy. But that's the whole thing. Communicate. If you're sitting back waiting for the guy to do all the work as you're a dead fish, you've destroyed the relationship before it even began. Case in point. Case in point with half the adults in the church. Do you not feel worthy? Because this is what seems to be coming out here with, is it Sarah? Yeah, Sarah. Sumpsion. Where are you? Leighton. You demand that the guy communicate with you, but are you pulling a beam in modes? Watch for that. Don't rush to judge the other. It goes for guys too. Obviously. Shouldn't have to say that. You shouldn't demand that the guys say things. I married you. What do you mean, do I love you? I want to have sex with you, and you keep denying me. And you ask if I love you? You won't let me love you. Because women communicate with their girlfriends. I always wanted to participate in those conversations. And yet, a guy and you shut up? Seriously? How do you think that's going to go? If you're talking about childbearing, men can procreate well into their 60s. Try 90s. Our little factory never stops until we're dead. You've been lied to about sex ed. And so she has been told that her eggs are dying, and they've been dying since she was 18. They don't die, dear. They just evacuate because you're not getting pregnant. And it starts with puberty when they begin to drop. Again, you're not being taught sex ed. See, once you hit menopause, that's when your eggs fail. And the book Woman, An Intimate Guide, I think is what it's called. Should I look for it on Amazon, having repurchased it? Finding the title finally, because it's difficult. When you type in woman, book, very hard to find. And so I had to, I just stumbled across it because the cover was shown. So yes, I know it by its cover. But that's the book for me. Right, women? If I were to put the cover of the book in there for you. Come on, Google. What the bleeping hell? Oh, AI is trying to figure out what you're doing, Travis. We're not quite sure. We're projecting. Give us several hours to finally come up with a projection of what you want done. You know, this could go faster if you upgrade to Windows 11. Bleep you, Google. Bleep you. Amazon. And then we need to find previous buy again. Woman book. There it is. An Intimate Geography. The National Book Award finalist, An Essential Guide to the Female Body. Ooh, it's on sale. Yeah, I also bought Lilith, Legend of the First Woman, because it had several of the... So yeah, Natalie Algier, Angier. I'm not happy with this change, Amazon. Not at all. Okay. So, it's an IUD. Your doctor will explain. You should be able to get away with that because it's not birth control. It's not contraception. It's not an abortion. It's perfect. And I don't know why it's not being pushed more by medical doctors. Nonetheless. Yeah, so she taught me some stuff about women when they're born and how they've got billions of eggs and most of them get absorbed into her body as a fetus. And that could explain the feelings. I don't know. But then she's born and she's got several 100,000 still. And when she hits puberty, that's when her little factory starts. And it's the cycle of a moon, about a month. Kimberly was 3 weeks. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, I noticed that. I noticed that. Guys tend to notice that. In the marriage relationship. We notice these things. And without communication, it causes fear. We're scared. You're not the same person I married. Anyway, communicate. Don't respond emotionally and then regret it and then go overboard on apologies and hugging and kissing it out. And that's with just your girlfriends. Yeah, sex ed needs to be taught for both. You do not get pregnant by wearing a swimsuit at the beach. I've heard that from 2 people in the church. Our mommies told them that. Oh, dear God. I've even had family members offer to freeze my eggs for Christmas. Oh. I'm offering to kill you so that you can go to the celestial kingdom. She is an abusive family, not just an abusive church. God, that is just cold. But yeah, there are Mormons who will murder kids to exalt them. That's why, oh God, I weep when I hear that in the news. God, 2 hours for this? And I never even got to this. Because again, I'm gonna crash. I'm still wearing yesterday's shirt. But I have to shave today, so God. After watching so many of your friends and family marry, as it sucks to be you, do you feel that this creates some distance between you and them? Yeah. I noticed it directly. And there are cliques within the relationship status. If you're in a dating relationship, that separates you from the singles. If you're newly married, or if you're engaged to be married, that's another category. If you're newly married, that's another category. If you've been married for a couple of years and no kids, that's another category. Once you start having kids, that's another category. Once you've had kids for a number of years, that's another category. They are clique groups. And it is disgusting. But yeah, it's like the women especially, I noticed this with, from first-hand experience, that the clique groups are created for. Guys, we're all the same. It's just we have less time the more involved in a relationship we are to do what we used to do as single. But for women, it's relating. A dating woman can no longer, or those who are single can no longer relate to the woman who's dating. And the woman who's dating cannot relate to the woman who's engaged. And the woman who's engaged cannot relate to the woman who's newly married. And the woman who's newly married cannot relate, and so on. It goes all the way up until you're dead. Leave women alone. Stop it. Because the upper cliques are supposed to be able to give the advice to the younger cliques. Not to judge them, not to force their agency, but to help them. Why are mean girls mean? Why can't mean girls be nice? Can't we all just get along and get married so I can be happy? There we go. What's forever for? because this is actually the test. Not this. That was the research. This is your test. Not the Marriott. That's the news. So yes, I've already told you about the 10 virgins and about, what does it say? Oh, Abraham, chapters 11, verse 11 and 12, chapter 1. So this is the test. Can you figure out the interpretation for this? And it's too late, and nobody's listening anymore, and it's still Christmas. Nonetheless, what's forever for? I went to his concert, the one concert I was able to get to at Abravanel Hall, and he doesn't even sing the song. For my birthday, bastard. He wants it about what he wants to promote here in Utah. That would have been the perfect song. That's the only song we like you for. And you didn't even sing it. God. And yes, I was all alone. You know, I thought about asking a woman on a date, and then I realized that, God, it's too much work. Women don't want to communicate. It's too much work. Why try? And then finally, so I can finish this and get back to sleep and forget to bathe and shave again for a third day. Get involved in some other project and forget to do this one. In the future, ooh, what is your 5-year plan? The worst question you can ask a guy, women. Do not do that. Dear God, especially in this type of cultural, economic, political, religious environment. You cannot plan for the future anymore. And it is just abuse to have that as your checklist that has to be approved by you in order for you to consider dating the guy. Oh, dear God. What would you like to see the church or his members do? Yeah, I see a pattern with you, Peggy. What would you like to see the church do differently so that you can be excommunicated and join the club? To make singles adults feel. Peggy! Fight taking away agency by taking away agency. No! And so, of course, she rushes to the immediate answer. The church does a pretty good job. But I think, emphasizing that, she said think rather than feel. Interesting switch, because she uses feel before. But she didn't use feel in her question. That's why. Wait, no, she does. Feel more comfortable. So why didn't you use feel in your answer? Interesting. But I think emphasizing that at the end of the day, the gospel and your relationship to God is an individual thing would be better. Well, welcome to the club. The Strengthening Church Members Committee is already on the call to your bishop. They have your membership number. They know Leighton. Sarah, they know you. You're doomed. You don't tell the church how to run the church. They will destroy you. Don't even think you can be a translator when they don't even claim the title. Everything they do is perfect. They will not apologize. They don't need to be better. And so no, Peggy, you set her up. Me having a husband versus me not having a husband is not going to affect my testimony in any way, shape, or form. You don't even have one, dear. If you knew what a testimony was, you'd have a relationship, at least. Because you ran the test from the scriptures. That's how we obtain the testimony. I testify that the fruit at the end of the iron rod is true. Not my feelings about whether or not to touch the iron rod. Mara has no problems touching the iron rod. But apparently doesn't finish the job. I say these things in the name of Dan.